Welcome. You're watching One-on-One on See Today, where for the next half hour, we will delve further into the lives of distinguished individuals and witness their other side you may not have known. This program is part of our commitment to present world-renowned figures for the benefit of you, our audience here on See Today. For our premiere episode, we were fortunate enough to have had an intimate and friendly one-on-one conversation with someone who is almost a century in age, yet is still overseeing national affairs. Our guest was also the oldest Prime Minister in the world when this person was serving at the time. Without further delay, we will now have our very own Marissa Anita for One-on-One.
He was the longest-serving Malaysian Prime Minister, and under his leadership, Malaysia became one of Asia's economic tigers. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad resigned in 2003 after 22 years in office. But 15 years later, he came out of retirement and led a coalition of opposition parties to topple the ruling government. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad was sworn in as Prime Minister for the second time in May 2018. He was then 92 years old and became the oldest Prime Minister in the world. 22 months later, he resigned from the post when his coalition party Pakatan Harapan collapsed. Today, at the age of 96, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad is still a member of parliament and a vocal critic of the government. He is sharp, fit, and remains relevant in the political sphere. Tun Mahathir Mohamad. Good day to you, sir. How are you today?
Hi, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on this special day. Tun Mahathir, you have been active in politics since 1964, and you remain fit and sharp. What is your secret?
Nothing much. I feel lucky because I have not suffered from any major disease. Although I did have a heart operation because of, supply of blood to the heart was interrupted. Otherwise, I've been quite healthy. I lead a healthy life. I don't smoke, I don't drink, and generally, I am very careful about eating food.
So what is your go-to food that makes you stay healthy, Tun Mahathir?
Well, I don't overeat. I am very careful that I don't put on weight. If I eat too much, I know I would put on weight, and that will be a strain on my heart. So since very young, I had always been very careful about my weight.
Oh, thank you so much for the health tips just there, Tun Mahathir. So you remain relevant in politics. So what is it about politics that makes you want to continue to be active in Malaysia's political sphere, Tun Mahathir?
Well, I am interested in what happens to my country. I am concerned that my country should be well governed, should develop, and should be able to grow economically. Because of this concern about the politics of my country, I remain interested, and when called upon to do something, I try.
Do you remember, Tun Mahathir, maybe going back to your younger days, when you were a child or probably a teenager, what moment that happened in your life at that time that made you decide, I need to enter politics?
Well, at that time, the country was under British rule. It's almost a colony of the British. And we were looked down upon by the British, who considered that we were not fit to rule our country. They have a very overbearing attitude towards us, and I didn't like that. I want to be on my own. I want to be able to look after my own country without being dominated by the British.
What is politics for you?
Politics is for doing something for the good of the country. It's not for you, it's for the country. And I think people give you that authority so that with that authority, that power, you can do a lot of things that will benefit the country and the nation.
After being Prime Minister for the second time in 2018, you decided to resign in 2020. How do you see your role in Malaysian politics now?
Well, I resigned because I had no choice. My party was overthrown by the opposition. So even if I don't resign, when the party is no longer the government, I would have to step down anyway. So I resigned because my own party did not support me. But the second part...
How do you see your role in Malaysian politics now?
Yeah, today I want to retire. But people come and see me, asking me for advice, for help, even asking me to participate in politics. Of course, when the pressure is very great, I find it difficult to reject their requests.
So I guess we can assume that you will not return for the third time in future, Tun Mahathir?
Well, I'm still active. I'm still head of my own party, and I want to have some say in whatever future actions that is taken in my country.
With your experience in the government, or governing Malaysia, or taking care of Malaysia, or working together with other politicians to take care of Malaysia, what kind of government do you think does Malaysia need at the moment?
Yeah, Malaysia needs a government that cares for the country, cares for the people, and is willing to make sacrifices in order to progress the nation. So the person must not think of himself, but must think about the good of the people and the country, that we should develop and eventually become a developed country.
How do you see the situation in Malaysia now and in the next probably 5 to 10 years, Tun?
Well, it's not so good now because the party that is forming the government is very weak, with only 2 seats majority. At any time, it can be brought down by any 2 or 3 people stepping down or reducing or stopping their support for the government. So it's a very weak government. It is most of the people are new, are not experienced. They are said to be incompetent, and of course, the country today is facing major crises like the pandemic and also the economic collapse. So these people seem quite unable to tackle the problem. So in the future, if this kind of government rules the country, I'm afraid that the country will regress and will not be able to catch up with other countries.
Now, as we know, Malaysia in 2021 underwent an intense political climate that led to a swift transition in leadership. And as we heard from Mahathir Mohamad himself, the current Malaysian government is too weak. It's also full of inexperienced and incompetent individuals. All these have led to fears that the country may regress. So, what is the ideal Malaysia that Mahathir would like to see? We'll be right back.
Because what we see now is that there are changes in the leadership of ASEAN countries, so much so that they don't establish good relations between them.